What are you doing? Not bad. Not bad. That's a big flop. That's a bad turn. That's a fucking great river. Let's go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the official PokerStars channel. My name is Nicholas Walsh, aka Nick Walsh, aka Nick Walsh TV, and we are back on Central for some more poker situations. What's going on with the hair today, guys? What is this? What is this? In any case, guys, $10 spins. Let's go. Let's do it. Yo, guys, can you remind me that, because this is something I thought about. Because we're on the Stars channel, obviously the majority of poker players who watch Twitch are already following, and it's been a while since I was on my own stream. Isn't there an alert for a new follow in the chat itself? In the same way that Croaks just had a subscription notification in the chat as well? Because I came to the realization that yesterday I just never see follows on Twitch, really. I think this is still a call, guys. I'm pretty confident. We can check that one later on, though. But it's just one of those. Ace Queen off, I think, can be a 3-bet not all in here some of the time, too. We get lucky there. That's cool. But I don't think we're going to min-raise fold ace 10. It just feels a little bit on the weak side. Ace jack is obviously always a call, but pretty confident. I've been playing this game a while, so I think that's probably just about right. Against this player, I think we're just going to go for the straight push. I think this is fairly standard at this stack depth. You might want to do ace jack off as a raise non-all-in. Oh, that's an unfortunate river. Really good spot for us there. Same again. Again, I think if you're playing weaker opponents, you can go ahead and 3-bet this not all in, but it's very standard just to push ace king at this stack depth. Hold. Let's go. All right, that's 2 out of 3 now. We're doing pretty well. This is always a push, though. Once we find the ace and he exposes 3, maybe 3x is just the size that he always uses in these situations. Maybe 3x is standard. That's another thing we can add here. Because he did that twice. And, you know, if he basically just has a 3x sizing, that's fine as long as we're aware of that moving forward. Because what we don't want to do is find ourselves being too tight in anticipation of the larger sizing being a better hand or whatever. Yo, Tiago, what's up? Let's go Brazil. Yeah, let's go Brazil. The full pot bet here isn't going to be an ace that often, so I think the float is mandatory. The fact it's full pot makes it difficult to play out, but I think we're going to call here, and we're pretty much going to broke with a 9 every time. We should size so that we can always get value from the 9 or 8 or the 3, for sure. And on the river, can we go for value again? Like I said, I don't think it's going to be an ace. If he leads the ace, he probably bets again turn. So I think we do have the best hand. So I think we go small and just try and get calls from some weaker pairs here. I think this is probably good. Nice. That is how you get thin value, ladies and gentlemen, right there. So in the end, I think he probably called us with a 3 or an 8. It was a 3 after all. I just checked the replay here. And that's fantastic. If we can get that much value from turning second pair and being really confident based on the pre-flop action, you're just making so many more chips than your opponents. Like, so many more. Like, infinitely more. Like, when we're looking at GTO solutions and stuff like that, they try and give you an estimate about how much you can win from, like, a specific hand on average if you're playing if you're playing an opponent who's playing perfectly against you. And it's usually like 1 big blind, 2 big blinds, whatever, depending on the situation. Like, I think if I remember correctly, when you min-raise aces on the button, your expected value is something like 8, between 6 and 8 big blinds on average, right? When you raise that hand, and for us to win another, however many big blinds it was with that hand in that situation is just astronomically good for your bottom line if you can find enough spots like that, every day. You know, a lot of people can struggle. They feel like they're doing the right thing. But if you're winning more chips in spots that are unexpected, when you do get cold decked, you know, it's going to look better on the graph overall. I'm going to probably just go ahead and limp this. And if he shoves, we're going to call. We do want to play this against him in position here a lot of the time, but it's too strong to fold. If we're really happy to shove this at this stack depth, we just need to be doing this as well, because it's just going to have too much equity on average to get away here. As played, it's like literally a coin flip, so just getting unlucky here as well that he has the ace. If we shove, he's still going to call. It's the same outcome. By limping, we give ourselves the opportunity to trap him if he's going to be shoving much weaker. But it's not a hand we're ever going to fold regardless of the setup, especially at this stack depth, you know what I mean? So that was unfortunate. I think we played really well in this game. We definitely were the better player by far. Just a couple very unlucky spots towards the end there. So Queen Jack off is still flat here, I think. Very nice playable hand that we don't want to get pushed off. This is definitely going to be a call, though. This is very, very different, right? King, king, six. That's not to say you can't have a king ever, but we have 2 overcards, and obviously we have an opportunity to turn our hand into a bluff as well if he gets concerned about the king all of a sudden. I'm still calling. I still think this is a spot where we can still get some bluffs through, or we hit the queen or the jack. That's fine. And then on the river, I think we go really, really big. We want to really punish here. Would he ever check a king on the river? Probably not likely, so I think a slight overbet here will maximize the fold from the 6x. Nice. If you're playing regs all day, it can be very difficult to profit, absolutely. Because spin and goes are randomized, I don't have a choice in the matter. Whenever I log in and I go to play a spin, it's up to the randomizer to decide who I'm sitting with at any given time. So get a little bit lucky here, but we're obviously not folding ace-3 to anything there, so that's totally standard. If you bust a tournament and you think that you might have played badly, that's going to tilt me more than if I'm just like, oh yeah, it was clearly just me being unlucky. I can deal with that, right? And that happens way more often when I'm playing a game that I'm less experienced in, like MTTs. So that's probably where more of the tilt comes from for sure, and that's just a mental game thing that I think a lot of people have. So, like I said, focusing on the study and taking that seriously, I think is really cool. So the king of diamonds is obviously not a great card for us. I think I'm going to struggle to fold here, though, because this is a turn that your opponent should bet as a bluff a lot of the time, and we are blocking the diamonds here, too. So I think we're going to do this, and if he shoves the river, we probably should still be calling. I don't completely love this spot, but I just think this is probably a spot. We have seen him making that bluff earlier as well, right? Really, really going hard with the gut shot or whatever it was. So we just got to be brave and call it down there as well. I think definitely a label is in order here, though, for sure. I'm actually going to trap here, guys. We're going to limp, and if he shoves, we're going to call. Totally fine. Little trap here, and definitely a hand that we want to take post-flop a lot of the time as well. So the limp here is not purely to be played as a trap, although we will trap and we will have a lot of equity against hands that have us like marginally beat, like ace-deuce off, ace-3 off. But in this situation as well, I think this is a really good point to talk about, actually. When we're limping in these situations, you know, obviously what we are trying to avoid, generally speaking, is getting chips in where there is going to be variance, because it means we're not really meriting as many chips. If we limp call with king 10 here, we probably will have the best hand often enough where we will actually be making some chips. But what we're doing as well is by limping, we're giving ourselves the opportunity to play a very nice playable hand in position against an opponent who's forced to play the hand that they are dealt. Because when they're in the big blind, they can't fold, technically. So what will happen a lot of the time here as well is we'll end up actually dominating a bunch of hands that might check behind here. In this particular spot, we're going to be dominating more 10x than king x, because the majority of the king x combos will shove versus a limp at the stack depth. But the important takeaway here is that when we're limping these situations, we're not limping because we would love to gamble, even though it probably is the right thing to do. We're limping in these situations because it forces our opponents to play a hand from out of position where they can make lots of mistakes, where we have a very nice sort of disguised hand that's going to do really well in these situations. Push means all in, like as though you're pushing all the chips in. You know what I mean? Like we also say rip it in, you know, rip it in, push it in. Shoving is another one that we say a lot, obviously. That's an any two card shove, guys. The guy had less than 1.6 big, so there's not a combination that we don't play that way. First reg, ace-3, 100% push. Casello, I just said I think we're probably down very slightly on the sesh so far today, but we're playing really well, just not running particularly good. And we've played a couple stakes as well, so I think we won a bunch of the 10s, and then I think we won a little bit of the 10s, but then the 25s not so well. But it's all part of the process, buddy. Playing very good poker today, and that's all we can do. This is easily an all-in with ace-9 of spades. That's a big flop. That's a bad turn. That's a fucking great river. Let's go. Another 50 bucks in. So yeah, now down something like 40 bucks on the day. Nothing to stress about. I'm going to bet really big on this flop, and I'm going to go broke pretty much no matter what. These boards, your opponent's going to have lots of combo draws and top pairs that they want to try and protect, like, you know, king 7 or something like that is definitely one. He's all in. All right, cool. Wish me luck, guys. Wish me luck. This can be 2 pairs and all that kind of stuff too, but you can see where my head is at. We also obviously have the gut shot as well, so a little bit of backup for us. That was one of them. That was one of the things I said. So the size up there is really cool because obviously it makes it a lot easier to get the chips in the middle. I think Queen 7 is probably fine to play as a check raise, get in there. That's fine. If it came a diamond on the turn, I would just be blasting off there with the king of diamonds in my hand. He's very capped, having limped pre-flop and then check back, not to having an ace on that texture. We have the queen of hearts, so probably less inclined to check raise with 2 pair in this situation. So we're going to call and hope that he barrels again. We're going to get some value from our queen 5. We have seen him trap with ace X in a very similar stack depth. So I'm going to call and hope that he barrels river. Even if it comes to heart, I'm still calling. Wish me luck on the river, guys. Not bad. Not bad. Pocket 5s. I think this is just a straight jam. Pretty sure. That's a good turn. All right. That is a really good flop. Is this the kind of flop that we check raise? We probably should. There's quite a few slowdown turns. If he trapped with like an overpair, we'll probably get it in. I think this is the best way to get max value. He is going to bet this as a bluff a lot, but you know we want to give him the opportunity to stack, right? And sure enough, there you go. Sure enough, we found the line, and we're going to take the $75 down right there. Very, very interesting spot here, guys. When you flop this strong, you know, you really, really need to understand what kind of textures you want to check raise hands as strong as a flush in this scenario and what you're trying to accomplish. And it really comes down to like how much is behind. If you want to, the deeper you are, the more inclined you should be to check raise these spots because you obviously want to get the money in faster so you can win bigger pots potentially for all of it. Because it was a low all diamond board, your opponents will have 2 overcards and a flush draw a lot more often, which means that they're going to be a lot more confident getting those kinds of combos in. And then, of course, if they do have traps like kings and queens and aces or jacks or tens, the low board also incentivizes them to shove like pocket 8s and pocket 7s and all that stuff too. So I think knowing that that board is a check raise as opposed to just a flat, where you know you might want to do that if you have a much stronger flush draw or a much stronger flush or on a higher diamond board. But definitely an important one. And of course, we just find like a pretty much dream setup for us. This could be a raise. I think I prefer the raise than the limp, but the limp is going to be okay too. Top pair. Feels good. We're definitely calling the flop. Now, just note the fact that he uses 3/4 here, though, guys. It's a little bit scary. Sometimes people like to do this with overpairs and stuff like that too. Don't want to get too caught up here. This is a complete unknown as well. This is so strong from him. I think we still have to call the turn, but on the river, oh, such a good run out for us as well. So, are we going to check, call, a shove on the river is the question. It's really, really tough here. Two games in a row, first hand, Busto. Ace Queen is in there. Ace King is in there. Oh, man, this is so sick. We're not blocking the clubs. Ugh, all right, wish me luck, guys. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Nice. He said 3-bet, not RFI. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, Felipe. I misread that, dude. Excuse me. How bad is it to 3-bet 2.3 or a bit lower than this with around 15? Yeah, I'm actually not even sure what the size is. I think I need to see it visually. But thank you for saying that, Zaxter. Sorry, I misunderstood your question, buddy. I think that's probably fine. So this is another really interesting one, guys. We should actually have the best hand here quite often because a lot of his King X is supposed to shove pre. So unless he has a straight, we're going to be winning a lot. A straight or a 3, I guess. I'm going to hero call here, but I think ace high is going to be winning an incredible amount of the time in this situation, right? If you think about it, It's another spot where people, I think, underestimate how easily you can cap range. So pre-flop in this situation, we've limped. And at this point, if you have a king, I don't care if you're a GTO genius or not, you're going to be shoving a lot of your strong king X, or a lot of your weak king X even. So this is a spot where he's basically never going to have that. Once we check the flop, we're indicating weakness, which is another reason to incentivize him to bet. Once we have the draw, we're never going to fold once he leads. But of course, he can have straight draws here that he's betting and then also has missed. So once we get to the river, not only can he have missed straight draws, but he can have missed flush draws. A little bit less likely when we have two clubs. But unless he has a 3 or a king, he'll basically never have a king for the most part. And we're usually really good at picking out these spots. So unless he literally has 4-5 or a 3, he's basically, yeah, it's just a very, very narrow kind of situation here. And I think the ace-high call is pretty much warranted every single time. This is a lot closer. I don't remember what to do with this hand. I think we're supposed to limp, and then we're supposed to call a raise, and we're folding to a shove. I think we're still limp calling for 2, though. And then we're pretty much going to go broke with the jack every single time. Question is, do we jam? I think the shove is cool here because on this specific flop texture, they can still have 5, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and they still might be entitled to call. And of course, now there's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 big blinds in the middle. So it's a lot more behind in this situation. What are you doing? What? And king 4. Ooh, this is going to be real close. Is there a hand you're not pushing in? Yeah, absolutely. If there's any consideration, there's very few spots where you're shoving any 2. I'm going to trap with ace-jack here if we can. Yep, quite happy to trap there. Get the 8-6 shove. This is a little bit wide. This is actually unexpected from this guy for sure. What a river. Ugh, get out of here. That is a little bit crazy. Now, 8-6 suited as a pushover limp is very different because it means you're not doing it at that frequency. If you're shoving 8-6 off, you're going a little bit too loose. And sure enough, the trap worked against this very aggressive opponent from out of position, which is why we were adjusting to shove more GTO as opposed to trap, or to limp and expect to play pots from in position. So a good trap, perfect game for us, played very well. 8-6 off, yeah, a little bit on the wide side. I don't know if I want to make a note though generally, because he could be adjusting to the fact he thinks that I'm not trapping often enough. Because obviously 8-6 off is going to have very similar equity to 8-6 suited. In fact, there's probably only 3% between them on average. And so if he's overextending his sort of shove versus limp range, it's not that absurd for him to have a hand like that because it has similar properties to, 8-6 suited, 8-7 suited, where it's not going to be dominated that often, and still has decent equity against hands like ace king, ace queen, ace jack that might trap, for example. Curling Master, thank you very much for the subscription. Welcome. We have a gut shot, 2 overcards to second pair. We're definitely not folding flop here. I think the float is going to be cool. We sometimes the 10 and the 8 is going to be a good hand here as well. At this stack depth, our opponent shouldn't really have an ace that often because they should have shoved a lot of those pre. So the 8 is going to be good for us a lot of the time. We're also blocking, in this situation, Romeo, we're blocking 9-10, right? 9-10 is a straight, but given the fact that we have a 10, makes it a little bit less likely that our opponent has 9-10 if they want to bet the turn here. So we're going to call, and I'm probably going to end up calling on a lot of rivers here as well. Just because our opponent, like I said, shouldn't have an ace that often, but this is a card that they can definitely barrel as a bluff. We're blocking the hearts now as well. Having the 8 of hearts means it's less likely our opponent will have the flush draw. That's not to say always, but whatever. I think given this run out, we have to call the river shove, even though I don't love this spot. Wish me luck, guys. Wish me luck. And there, in that one particular hand, the very last hand of the day, you can see how important it is that blockers be used appropriately, and when they are in such a fashion, it does make us make better decisions, right? So guys, that's all for me for today. I love you very much. As usual, check out the social media and stuff like that, like I said, but I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sunny out here in Brighton, so I might go hit the beach or something like that later, see how we get on. But good game, everybody. Love you very much. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.